Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me. This is the morning market review. It's Wednesday, it's the 28th of June, and my name is Russell Shaw. I'm a senior market specialist at FXCM. My email address rshaw@fxcm.com. Just going to go ahead and bring up the high risk investment warning. I'll keep this on screen for a few moments. Good morning, Kim. Thank you very much for signing in. Very much appreciated and lovely to have you on the webinar. Thank you to everyone that signed in this morning. I'm just going to bring up our commentaries disclaimer now. Keep that on screen for a few moments as well. And just in terms of our references, market scope and trading view, we'll do predominantly market scope this morning. Going straight through to the euro US dollar, and again looking at from a weekly and moving our way towards the hourly. The higher trough setting, we looked at this yesterday. We have got a nice blue candle, and we just got to watch this because what we call this, I think we've seen a few of these recently, an inside candle. So what an inside candle is, it's a candle that's completely inside the range of the previous candle. So this would be an inside candle. It's completely inside the range of the previous. It's generally considered a candle of uncertainty. Why is it a candle of uncertainty? It's because the bulls haven't taken price past the previous candle's high, and the bears haven't taken price below the previous candle's low. So we're sort of stuck in this narrow range, and we're uncertain which way we are effectively traveling. And you can see that there is a little selling tail on top that we just want to keep abreast of. I do like the fact that this higher trough has locked in. It's just this inside period is something to keep an eye on. And I think the reason we've got this inside period is because of, and we've mentioned this before, the lack of trend on the US dollar. Once the US dollar is consolidating, it's going to spill over into other instruments. So let's just take a look at this on a daily. Before we go to the daily, let's just acknowledge that the RSI is on the bullish side of 50, okay? And we'll acknowledge that there is a higher trough, but we just want to see more bullish strength effectively. So let's go down to the daily chart, and the daily chart is interesting. We had a nice blue candle yesterday, okay? There is a bit of red that is showing, so perhaps a dip in the uptrend to take advantage of today. What is standing out for me here is a potential reference candle. Let's just do our measurements. So here is the reference candle. It's the lowest low in at least a 3-candle cluster. And then do we get price taking out? And I think there's a little bit more work to be done by the bulls here. I think that the inside period, the inside week here is sort of the primary candle signal that we're receiving at the moment. I'd like to see a little bit more blue on the daily. Yes, there is a potential higher trough here, or potential trough, let's call it, because it would be lower than this trough, but it's a potential trough to build a base off of. It's in zone 1, so it's between the upper red and the upper blue, so that's good. There is potential bullish here, just a little short of where we would like for a full signal. The RSI above 50. What's happening on the hourly chart? So the hourly chart is where we're trying to do our timing. Is there some timing mechanism in terms of the indicators that we can use here? And the answer to that, I think, is yes. Remember, we don't want to predict. I don't know if we're going to move up here with any sort of swing. But what I would like to see is the bulls in control. Why would I like to see the bulls in control? Is because we've got the higher trough on the weekly. We've got the RSI above 50 on the weekly. We're in zone 1 on the daily. We are above 50 on the RSI on the daily. So I'd like the shorter term traders to effectively come in as well and synchronize up with the higher time frames. And for that to happen, I'd like to see the exponential moving averages cross bullishly. I'd like to see the stochastic cross bullishly, and then I'd like to see the stochastic make its way towards 80 and above. We are at central pivot support. The question now is the central pivot support going to hold? So keep an eye on that. If it doesn't hold, then S1 becomes the next level to keep an eye on. Then the dip in the uptrend potentially taking place at S1. So first support, central pivot. Second support, S1. Which one's going to hold? Well, I'm not sure. I don't want to make the prediction, but I want to react to the signal given off of the EMAs and the stochastics. Now, remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to catch the dip in an uptrend. Okay, that's the whole philosophy behind what we're trying to do on the webinars, in that we can see that there does seem to be primary strength up. Primary strength up is the direction that's sort of filtering out which way we potentially want to go, and then we look at the swings, and the swings are going to be impulse up, corrective down, impulse up, corrective down, and it's the corrective downs that offer the lowest risk entry. So we're trying to see, do we have a correction down here? That's effectively what we're looking for. Again, just lacking the certainty of a candle on the weekly that has a higher high, higher low. We've got a lower high, higher low inside period. Let's take a look at cable now, because that was the other one that we looked at yesterday. Just to reiterate, looking for the central pivot or the S1 pivot to hold on the euro. What's happening on the cable pairing? Let's take a look. And once we've taken a look at cable, we'll go down to the US dollar. And for me, the issue with the analysis lies with the US dollar. What's the issue? It's not trending, it's consolidating. All right, so when we take a look at the cable pairing, again, I like what we see here. What have we got? We've got a higher trough followed by the higher peak. We've got effectively a trend line we can measure the momentum against. We've got the RSI, which is above 50 and holding nicely, and the trend going pretty well. What's the issue? Let's just take a look at this week's. Remember that we're looking at a weekly chart here. What's the issue? But there's no volatility this week. Okay, there's no volatility this week. I think we could go ahead and call this an inside period as well. But this inside period is different to the inside period for the euro, because the euro, at least there was some sort of real body. There's no real body here. We've got a doji star. So there does seem to be some sort of lack of momentum this week on the pound. Let's go down to the daily chart and see what is the analysis there. And you can see the lack of momentum actually on the RSI here. It's kind of moving laterally, and it's just, I would expect a little bit more chop. Nevertheless, it is above 50. It's above 50. The cable pairing pullback challenged the border between zone 1 and zone 2, but that border area seems to be holding. Again, what stands out for me is the potential reference candle here. Again, we need more to be done from the bullish side. We don't quite have the third signal. We've got signal 1, which is the lowest low in at least 3 candles. We've got signal 2, where price moves above the high of the reference, but we don't have signal 3. Signal 3 is a close above the reference candle's high. So we're lacking that. And again, not ideal. Ideal would be to have the reference candles locked in, because every swing starts with a reference candle. Not every reference candle leads to a swing, but every swing starts with a reference candle. So identifying these reference candles is tremendously useful, but we just need a little bit more done from the pulley side there. A little bit of red showing up. Let's just see if there is a potential dip that we may exploit today. Let's go ahead to the hourly. All right, so the support level here is the S1 level, is where I would be keeping an eye on. There is some uncertainty coming in. The way that I see that is with this candle here. It's called a spinning top, right? You've got bulls try to take price up, bears try to take price down. Effectively, we're quite flat for the hour. But how do we read it? Well, uncertainty on the way down. So perhaps some bearish energy dissipating here, right at the time we're coming towards the S1 support level. Again, I don't know if we're going to get the movement in that northeast, but I'd like to see the EMAs cross over bullishly. I'd like to see the stochastic cross over bullishly. If we do that, then we get the two triggers, and I'd like to see the momentum move by the stochastic. In effect, the stochastic moving into its upper quintile. And if we get that, then we moving back into the zone 1 on the daily and getting a little bit more of a real body on the weekly. So cable, just a little bit thin this week. Okay, what's the big issue, I think, surrounding the analysis of these pairs? I think it's the dollar. So let's just go through to the US dollar. I know we've looked at this many times. I think that it's very important for us to keep on top of it so that we can see the breakout or the breakdown from the US dollar. So at the moment, the US dollar bouncing off of its lower boundary, the RSI oscillating around 50. Okay, so I don't see any real any signs of breakout just yet. Well, that makes sense. We're right in the middle of the triangle. If we take a look at the daily chart here, the daily chart's in the middle of zone 2, well, that's no man's land. Okay, what is interesting, and this is very interesting, is it looks like we may be getting the reference candle here. Now, if we get a bullish reference candle on the US dollar, that's actually going to act as a headwind against euro and pound. So a little bit of ambiguity coming in here. That's not great. Typically, what we want when we're looking at our setups, we want no ambiguity. We want the dollar to be heading in one direction. We want the other currencies to be heading in the other direction, the other majors to be heading in the other direction. And that makes for the least line of resistance. A little bit of strength coming in on the greenback, even though it's in zone 2, and we want to just keep an eye on that. You can actually look at the RSI here. It's popped above 50 as well. What's happening on the hourly? All right, so the hourly here, confirming the ambiguity, unfortunately. How is it confirming the ambiguity? Well, it's got the RSI showing angle and separation with its EMAs towards the northeast. So this is not ideal the setup for me, unfortunately today, speaks of caution. So I just want everyone to be aware that unfortunately we don't have the smoothness that we would like. You can see that the stochastic here is above 80. So if we hold above 80, if we keep the angle and separation, dollar will get that northeasterly movement. That may impact on the euro pound analysis. It may, I'm just bringing up euro, it may push euro towards that S1. Okay, and if it pushes towards that S1, then obviously central pivot's not going to hold. If we go through to cable, then the S1 over here, the S1 pivot, potentially under threat. So I'd like to see the dip in the uptrend hold. There's a spoke, there's a spanner in the work, so to speak. What is the spanner? Dollar. Okay. I just need to see that dollar cooperating with us. All right. What we're going to do, guys, is we're going to conclude at this point, and we're going to go through to the crypto minute. Please join me for that. Thank you very much, and speak to you at the next webinar or tomorrow. Have a great day ahead.